Alright, so I'm sure most of you guys have probably heard about this by now, but for those of you who haven't, it is reported that the Charlotte Hornets actually have a lot of interest in Andre Drummond and could potentially try and sign him in the 2023 agency. This is so bizarre in my opinion, because if I read this out to you guys before the season started, I'm pretty sure you guys probably would have laughed, but with the way the Hornets have, the Hornets have been playing this season, they're currently 7-12. I genuinely thought they might not have even won more than 2 games coming up to this point. They've been absolutely bowling out. Devontae Graham, he is just, wow, he is a very, very good player. 24 years old. He's now starting with the team, averaging 18 points per game on 7.5 assists. He has been a very good dynamic duo with, obviously, Terry Rozier, and it's just looking insane. Like, it is very, very good with currently, the Hornets right now and what they've been able to do. You almost think that, yeah, Andre Drummond might even consider it, and this has been reported by so much different people. Sports Illustrated have made articles and stuff saying they don't make sense. A lot of different articles here and there, a bunch of, Charlotte fan pages and Detroit fan pages have all been covering this, news and story at the moment with the Andre Drummond situation. Now, I'm really not too sure what's going to happen. Again, the Detroit, Pistons, they could really do multiple different things. Like, Drummond could re-sign with Detroit. He could look to go and sign with somewhere else, potentially, but just the thing is, Detroit have been, obviously doing pretty bad this year. I mean, currently right now, they're the 11th seed, and they were expected to be about the 8th seed coming into the season. They've got a really bad record of 6-13. There's no excuses anymore. Blake Griffin has finally come back to the team and has definitely not been doing as good as, obviously, his previous year. He's been playing a lot less minutes, as we know. And then you just got, Andre Drummond, who is, he's a pretty good player, but I just don't really know how the combination of Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin works. Then you got Derrick Rose, who's pretty much been absolutely bowling out this year. Definitely needs more minutes. I really don't know why he's not playing more minutes. Luke Kennard, who I highly rate, is a very good player in my opinion. And then the team is kind of not very good from there. You got Reggie Jackson, who's played 2 games this year, and he only averaged 5 points per game on 18 minutes. I think in one of those games, though, he might have got injured. To be honest, I think this team definitely needs to rebuild. They need to trade pretty much Drummond and Griffin on, the deadline or whatever. Look to do some moves, or maybe let Drummond walk. Now, will Charlotte Hornets be the team that Drummond goes to? Will be the question. Now, again, I really didn't think I would ever be saying this, but if you were Andre Drummond, you should be definitely looking at the Hornets, as they've got some prospects. They've got potentially a couple bad things about him is, obviously, they've arguably got one of the worst owners in the NBA. In a lot of people do not rate Michael Jordan, and obviously pretty much what he's been accomplished since he's owned the Hornets has literally been nothing. So yeah, he hasn't really got that good of a resume when it comes to being an owner compared to a player, obviously, but I still feel like that there is going to be a couple players that might get persuaded by the fact that he is potentially there. They do have a solid young core of, obviously, Devontae Graham, who's only 24 years old, Terry Rozier, who's 25, Miles Bridges, 21, PJ Washington, who was an absolute steal, is 21, Malik Monk is obviously 21, and yeah, I'm sure there's a couple other players here and there. If you were potentially Andre Drummond, the main thing that they desperately need right now is a center. You look at their top 4 scorers right now. Devontae Graham's averaging 18. He's pretty much, I would say, the shooting guard of the team. Terry Rozier, 18, point guard. Miles Bridges, 13, small forward. PJ Washington, 12, power forward. And then you got Cody Zeller, who's averaging 11, who is, I don't even know how, he's 27 years old, who's averaging 11. He is the center. I feel like if you were to replace him with Andre Drummond, that could definitely potentially be a playoff team, as they'll obviously most likely have a decent pick again this year. I feel like, yeah, right now they're the 9th seed, but I really don't know how long that's going to stick for. I'm surprised the Chicago Bulls aren't obviously higher. There was a rumor Chicago were going to try and get multiple players on the deadline to potentially become better. So I'm imagining, they'll obviously move up. Atlanta Hawks will get John Collins back, who obviously is suspended right now, and they might trade for a player like Miles Turner. they're going to most likely go up after a pretty bad start right now. That could potentially move the Hornets down to like 11th or something. I feel like the Hornets will have like another top 15 pick. Obviously, that would be the most likely scenario. And considering, the Hornets have had three, I believe, top 15 picks in the past, 3 years, obviously, they have drafted incredibly well. Let's just have a look at this right now. Miles Bridges, PJ Washington, and Malik Monk were all in the top 15, I believe. That's pretty good, and yeah, you'd think that they will potentially go after another one of these players again. And yeah, that's just another player that they'll bring onto the bench. Well, if you have Andre Drummond, that is a massive pickup. Move Cody Zeller would obviously go to the bench as well, potentially. And they could sign a couple more free agents in the off-season here and there as well. Obviously, Danilo Gallinari has stated that he wants to play for a playoff/contending team. If they've got all these young pieces, Andre Drummond, they'll obviously still have heaps of cap left because all their bad contracts that they've been stuck with for quite a while now are all going to be free agents potentially this year. I believe such as Bismack Biyombo, I think is going to be a free agent. A couple other players here and there. Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, I believe, will all be free agents as well. They might potentially look to sign a couple of these players. I don't really know what they're going to look to do, but it's a very interesting prospect. I don't think anyone in like the past 5 years or so has ever spoken about Hornets like this, but this is the year where if their GM was actually good, which he's been looking like he's doing okay recently. Obviously, the Terry Rozier signing was very questionable when they first got him, but he's actually been playing very good this year, so it's looked like it has paid out. You don't really know what's going to happen again. It's the Charlotte Hornets. They could really stuff this up, but if you're Andre Drummond, I feel like he should definitely be giving them a look and, showing some close attention to them. Potentially another team that I would like to talk about, which actually hasn't been brought up yet, which I believe this team also has interest in him as well, and that is the Boston Celtics. Now, the Boston Celtics are also a very interesting team that could potentially, sign him, as they're in a similar situation. Yes, they don't really have exactly the most cap space left, and yeah, they're definitely over at the moment. But if they were to potentially do that sign and trade deal that some people were rumoring with Jaylen Brown, that could potentially happen. Now, look, I really don't think they're going to be able to sign obviously Andre Drummond in the offseason. They'll definitely not have enough cap to potentially make a situation like this happen. Although, when it does come to the deadline, I do feel like there is a chance they could potentially trade for him. Now, I believe the Celtics would definitely look, they want to trade Jaylen, they want to keep Jaylen Brown, but I feel like the Detroit Pistons would want Jaylen Brown in a package. Now, I feel like Andre Drummond would definitely be very, very good for the Boston Celtics, as if you look at their top 5 players, none of them are really backcourt players, front court players, sorry. None of them are really front court players. Jason Tatum is playing a small ball power forward type of role this year. Well, I don't really know how it's going to work, but I mean, like, what I mean by front court players is I'm meaning like, power forwards and all of that stuff. I mean, they do have small forwards, obviously, but I really don't know how it's going to necessarily go in that type of way. I mean, yeah, they've got Jason Tatum, they've got Gordon Hayward, they've got Jaylen Brown, but they don't really have a natural power forward. They don't really have a center at all, and I do like the prospect of them playing Jason Tatum at power forward. He's actually balling out this year and playing very good, so obviously that is working out, but they desperately need a center. I mean, when it comes to playoffs time, Daniel Tice and Enes Kanter, they're just not going to do that. I mean, Enes Kanter is a good offensive player off the bench. Tice has been decent this year, but I feel like if they were able to get Drummond, yes, they would be over the salary for quite a bit. But if they got Drummond on the trade deadline and were able to keep Jaylen Brown, let's just say they traded maybe a couple first-round picks, obviously, Robert Williams, Carson Edwards potentially. If they were able to get Andre Drummond, they would most likely make it to the finals and be a contender to win it all against whoever's going to be in the West, such as potentially, the Lakers or the Clippers, whoever it's going to be. I feel like if the Celtics were able to get Andre Drummond, they would definitely be a contender as well. But yeah, I feel like when it does come to the free agency, if he hasn't been traded, obviously, and he is still a if he's still a Detroit Pistons player, I feel like he'll definitely look at Charlotte Hornets as I believe them, Cleveland and Atlanta will have heaps of cap by then, and I really expect, Atlanta to try and trade for Miles Turner. So I feel like it could be just, like Cleveland or Charlotte who really go for it. And, I'm a massive Cleveland fan, but I feel like at this point in time, with all the young guns that Charlotte have, I feel like they have more of a young potential. So I feel like Andre Drummond might potentially look to move there. But yeah, who really knows what's going to happen? But anyway, I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for all the latest NBA and sports content. Don't forget to comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts and opinions on a team potentially signing Andre Drummond or trading for Andre Drummond? Who do you guys think should do it? Do you think it should be Boston? Do you think it should be Charlotte? Or are there any other teams? I definitely would really like to know your thoughts and opinions down below. Also, don't forget to comment as well. Do you guys think the Detroit Pistons would actually trade him? I'd also really like to know. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my gaming channel and my IRL/vlog channels. Links for them are in the description down below. So make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and comment. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.